Hamas fighters are just realizing how stupid it was for them to have trusted Israeli psychopaths and their bloodthirsty Western backers. That's because Israeli terrorists have once again broken the so-called ceasefire with impunity once again and slaughtered more than 40 innocent Palestinian civilians. Yes, they have murdered dozens of Palestinians by firing artilleries and dropping American bombs. The Israeli brutality was such that I can't even share those videos here. You can watch them on our Telegram channel, details on the screen. Pro-genocide Western media outlets moved with lightning speed to whitewash Israeli crimes once again. Take an example of this rogue organization called the BBC. Even though Israeli terrorists violated the ceasefire and killed more than 40 Palestinians, BBC's headline linked the ceasefire violation to Hamas. I'm not making it up. You can see it on the screen. This rogue organization, where I once worked for more than 12 years, simply refuses to learn from its past mistakes, whereby it actively supported the genocide in Gaza. The Israeli and their Zionist plans have completely taken over this organization and turned it into a propaganda outlet, a mouthpiece for a genocidal regime. This explains why more and more people are now refusing to pay the license fee. Let this rogue propaganda outlet seek money from their Israeli masters. This is how Sky News reported the development.
But this feels like a particularly difficult day for the ceasefire. I don't think it is collapsing yet, but I think it is under huge amount of strain, and there are so many moving parts, so many things that are pulling it away from its core. So if we go through them, clearly there was an exchange of attacks today. Both sides are blaming the other for starting it. So if you talk to Palestinians, they will show you images of attacks in a variety of places, including, as you heard Sally reporting, in Rafah, in Khan Yunis, and Dar al-Bala. If you talk to Israeli sources, they will say that they were attacked first, that they were hit by an anti-tank missile fired at an engineering corps who were not engaged in military activities.
No one questions the absurd claim by Israeli terrorists about Hamas storing missiles in Gaza. I mean, seriously? This despite 2 years of sustained bombardments by Israeli barbarians? They want us to believe Hamas have their missile stockpiles safe in Gaza, if at all they had these missiles in the first place. The US State Department, headed by Marco Rubio, a thug himself, had told us last night that Israeli terrorists would once again not respect the so-called ceasefire. In a social media post on Twitter, the State Department has said that Hamas were likely to break the ceasefire. Yes, that's what they said, that Hamas were likely to break the ceasefire. Their social media post had read, and I quote, "The United States has informed the guarantor nations of the Gaza peace agreement of credible reports indicating an imminent ceasefire violation by Hamas against the people of Gaza. This planned attack against Palestinian civilians would constitute a direct and grave violation of the ceasefire agreement and undermine the significant progress achieved through mediation efforts. The guarantors demand Hamas uphold its obligations against the ceasefire terms." End quote. This was last night. We all learned today who planned to attack and murder Palestinian civilians in Gaza. It wasn't Hamas. At least there is one leader of a big political party in the UK who is not mincing words on Gaza. His name is Zach Polanski, who himself is a Jew. He was a guest on BBC's Laura Queensberg show today, presented by Victoria Derbyshire. As expected, he was not asked about his position on Gaza. You can understand why. But Adil Ray, or himself a former BBC presenter, summed it up brilliantly after this interview.
Zach Polanski has only been leader of the Greens for just over a month. What do you, he's definitely making headlines. What do you put his appeal down to?
Well, look, I think Zach has admitted himself he's enjoying this sort of populist stance that he's taking, you know, and I think there's a lot of sort of moral arguments that he seems to be winning with a lot of people. And I think he's been allowed to do that because there's been a vacuum from the major parties. If you look at something like Gaza, for example, and Gaza, in many ways, it is the litmus test for our morality in the whole world at the moment. And he's very, very clear on that. Migration, he put out a video the other day, very positive stance on migration about the list. It was a poem by Benjamin Zephaniah, and the list of nationalities he listed in that video. It's something we've not seen, even from Labour, who have been traditionally pro-migration. So he's sort of finding a space here, which I think is seemed quite popular.
After slaughtering innocent people at will and making a mockery of the ceasefire, the Israeli terrorists are now claiming that the ceasefire is on once again. Seriously? These medieval gang of barbaric human animals are making a mockery of the peace deal signed by Donald Trump, and we are expected to not call out this thuggery. These depraved demons have also blocked the entry of food materials into Gaza once again.
Israel is suspending the delivery of humanitarian aid into Gaza until further notice after the Israeli army and Hamas accused one another of breaching the ceasefire. Medical and local sources in Gaza say Israeli airstrikes have killed 13 people today. One on the town of Al-Zawada in central Gaza has killed 6 members of Hamas, including the commander of one of the group's elite units. The strike hit the entrance of a makeshift seaside cafe set up inside a tent along Al-Zawada's beachfront. Those killed and injured in the Israeli strike on Al-Zawada were taken to Al-Aqsa Hospital. Elsewhere in central Gaza, women and children are among the casualties of an Israeli airstrike hitting a school sheltering displaced people. There have also been Israeli strikes on southern Gaza.
Now, what's their excuse for this latest collective punishment? They've got their hostages. So where are those Western propagandists who said, oh, Israel would end this conflict today if Hamas returns all their hostages? Hamas have done that. I told you on the day Trump announced this peace deal that Israeli terrorists led by war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu would never live in peace, even for a day, without satisfying his urge to murder innocent people. Murdering innocent people is part of who they are. These are savages, unfit for civilized society. Anyone who supports these monsters are also one of them. And you decide if you are okay having these bloodthirsty demons as your elected representatives in the US, the UK, and the EU. And then we are hearing of Israeli psychopaths stealing organs of Palestinians after murdering them in their captivity. In a way, it's good that Israelis are exposing the West through their new acts of barbarism. I mean, if you're supporting this barbarism, then you have lost the claim, the moral argument that you're civilized. You're not civilized because you have been supporting this barbarism for last 2 years and you have still not stopped that. Let people in the West decide if they are happy with their new identity as someone who supports savagery and cold-blooded murder of innocent people. Meanwhile, Trump is busy causing disgrace to the White House by sharing an AI-generated video against No Kings protesters. You can watch that video on our Telegram channel. So clearly, he can't be bothered if Israelis are once again determined to show who the real boss is in Gaza. Not that he can afford to take terrorist Netanyahu head on, because slaves don't have a voice against their masters. It's as simple as that. That's it from me. Thank you very much for your support of this platform and our journalism. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.